Public relations is a passion of mine. You know, I live it, breathe it, sleep it, talk it, all the time. We had one definition, I'm sure there are many. For me, public relations is very much about perception, managing perception, channeling perception, and talking to publics who are various audiences. So, who believes that PR can be measured? By show of hands?
It can be what?
Measured. Can it be measured? Can public relations, can perception be measured? Yes? How do you measure your campaigns? How do you measure to see how successful? Why are you doing it? Why are you doing PR? You've got to be an objective in mind. There has to be some sort of measurement. So this is not the definitive answer. This is what I'm going to take you through are some examples of what we use in our agency at the moment. It's a constantly evolving practice because, of course, with digital, things are moving all the time. But PR is measurable. Definitely, absolutely, categorically. Before and after perception audits give rise to data, unaided recall, brand consideration, and intent to purchase metrics are all measurable deliverables. If you don't have a CRM system, it's fairly easy to quantify how many steps, how many touch points does it take to convert your action into a sale or an outcome. And so let's just work on this as an example. So let's say we have 5 touch points that you use to communicate with your customer, or your client uses to communicate with its customer, through measuring the various sectors that they go through. So whether it's direct mail, seminars, channel promotions, you can actually start off with a core, with a baseline. Measure the perception of that, and then a little bit later on, you can actually then hopefully have reduced the touch points to 2 or however many you need to convert to a sale. At Total Media, we use a perception audit at the beginning, the midway, and at the end of every campaign. Every campaign that we run has a life cycle, whether it's a 6-month campaign or a year-long or an ongoing retainer with our clients. We measure 3 times a year, of course it's an annual. How we do that, we send a select set of questions to selected media, and again here it's very pertinent to not send Tamar from Lifestyle if it's something on business, or to send Karen Smith on Deburgos or Sarka 24 if it's lifestyle. So select your journalists very carefully. We also start off with a small pool of media and people who we've worked with over the years, whom we have a very good relationship with. Because some of them may anticipate this as being spam, because they are very busy, they get 200 to 300 emails a day. And then we ask no more than 20, depending on what it is. The results of this, of the audit, of course, have been tabulated. Out of it comes messages. Out of it sometimes comes different messages to what your client thinks should be. You're pooling the journalists. You're asking them, what do they think about the brand? What do they know about the brand? What do they know about this product? What are the competitors in the market? There's a very simple one we did for TFL. We just asked a set of questions. We targeted some lifestyle media, and we got responses back. That enabled us to actually determine the level of awareness of TFL, the brand, amongst that set of journalists. And that helped us put together a campaign. So we measured the perception of the brand at the beginning. That then gave rise to the PR strategy and to a calendar and the rollout. Okay? We haven't quite done one follow-up yet because we've only just started. We also did one recently for Virgin, for the Virgin Group. We handle the PR, I'm very pleased to say, for Richard Branson in this country. The results that we sent our perception audit to went to youth media, to news media, to business, to lifestyle. It went to 28 very high-profile media, and the messages and the responses that we got back were very interesting, and that has helped us to tabulate and formulate a plan for Virgin brand going forward. We then measure the same perception. We then measure the perception, as I say, midway and at the end. We use the same set of journalists with a slightly tweaked set of questions, but then we broaden it out so we can check ourselves against that. Okay? That's measuring what we're doing. We're measuring how the perception has shifted. If it hasn't shifted at all, why it hasn't shifted. Okay? It's being measured. Then something else that you can do, and that we do, is we run public surveys, Particularly online, they're very useful tools. Here you would normally have to pay. You went onto a women24.com. You can run a very cool, sexy consumer audit survey, maybe with a giveaway or something along those lines, just to measure how the public is feeling. And again, you can follow that up several months later with an updated one. You can measure perception. You can measure how many people have, and of course it depends on the input that you put into it, the questions that you put in as to what you want to extract out of it. Website traffic. If you're a client here, or if you've got a client, hopefully they'll have a website that's got the amazing back-end tools. Then you should always have the back-end tools who can track, or that can track, how many visitors go to the website, how many unique users, how many page impressions. You've all been inundated all afternoon with the web and the internet. Make it work for you. Understand those metrics behind it. Even simple things like measuring how many visitors respond to a promotion you're doing. Check the website traffic. Your web host will be able to print out that for you, and it's your right, obviously, to ask for it. Okay. If it's a competition, and there's just something that we put up there, it's a web media overview. It measures page impressions, unique users, actions, pay-per-click, what translates into a conversion. Some incredible software out there at the moment. If you can't afford it for yourself, then there's Google Analytics. There's a whole range of tools on the net that you can use and adapt. Competitions. Competitions are another great way of measuring how successful you are. Again, ask the questions that you want to receive the answers for. But remember, data is king. One of the other things that we track and measure is data, information. If you want to talk to audiences, and more relevantly these days, is one-on-one communication, dialogue, conversation, get their details. Find out who they are. Get them to opt into something. Talk to them. Get them to respond. Get them to tell you about your brand, your product, whatever it is. You can track it. You can measure it. And the numbers of people that come in, the responses that they have. But I have put at the bottom there, just remember to take into account the new ICT laws, the Communications Act. Of course, you cannot approach people without an opt-out clause. Please remember when you're running campaigns like this to check on the laws. Very important. Get your fingers burned. Another one is SMS campaigns. We recently did one for Gavin Raja, darling Gavin. I'm sure most of you know who he is, fashion extraordinaire. And we received 28,500 entries in 2 hours, complete with names and cell phone numbers, all willing to be talked to by Gavin, or his team actually.